biggest story of the week has to be what came down. I don't know if I think it was Monday morning, what we had Bryce Young being benched. In order for because of the bad play, he has not been good. He's in a terrible situation. But it kind of feels like he's regressed a little bit. And this is something where you had who is banging the table. Whoever banging the table is wilding out, and that's
Yeah, it
fine. That's
sound like
fine.
the yeah. I don't know what that is. It ain't me
Yeah.
though.
Okay. But it really kind of felt like they looked at it at first, and the head coach said on Sunday that Bryce is our quarterback. It sounded like Lovey. Rex is our quarterback. But then the next day, it's like he had like a come to Jesus moment. Was like, yo, we got to sit this nigga. And even more stuff that probably ain't got nothing to do with football, but I saw this on Twitter and somebody said, did he lose his girl or something? The nigga did lose his girl to Tyrese Maxey. It's a little different when them guaranteed max contract niggas pull around. So I feel bad for Bryce on and off the field. For me, as far as what I feel about the benching, I think it's stupid for a couple reasons. One, by saying that he is your guide and bench him the next day is an issue because this is somebody who, let's be real, you trade the farm to get. And I think by the way he struggled is ignoring the fact or the part that the Panthers actually playing that. You surrounded him with nothing. There's nobody for him to throw to. He has no offensive line. He has no running game. There's nothing that for a regular good quarterback to function with. Outside of that, a player coming into his second year. That's the type of stuff that to me has just been more detrimental to the way he started. And then also you're bringing his confidence down even more because now it's like, what are you really trying to prove here? Are the Panthers actually trying to win games? If that's the issue, I don't know Andy Dalton. I don't know if niggas are saying Andy Dalton. That's not a long-term solution as well. And you're gonna have to bring him back eventually. And that's gonna be the main problem for me. I'm gonna go to Mikey first. Mikey, what do you think about this benching?
I mean, let's be real, bro. They had to do it. You're 0-2, and we already know what the landscape is like for teams that start off 0-3. Like, you still owe it to the other 52 members of the team to try to put your best foot forward to try to win games. I got a stat for you here. The Panthers have trailed on the scoreboard on 100% of their 101 offensive snaps this season. They've trailed by 15 points or more on 81 of those snaps. That's 80% of the game that they're trailing by 15 points or more. I believe at Bryce Young being the quarterback, they've only had a lead for a total of 10 seconds in the 2 years combined. I agree with you that they don't have the best setup for him, skill player wise and support, offensive line, running game, all of that. But this isn't Dave Canales' fault. This is a new head coach. He's tasked with building a culture and rallying around his guys. I've been seeing and reading some stuff that the locker room had pretty much kind of been demanding this. That they were very close to losing the locker room and losing this season. This all goes back to the top. This goes to the owner. This falls on him. Last year, when they hired Frank Reich and the previous GM, they wanted C.J. Stroud. They properly evaluated C.J. Stroud. That is who they wanted. That is who they were going to select with the number 1 pick. It was for the owner, Tepper, to sit. He sat down with Nick Saban for like 4 hours one-on-one without Frank Reich, his head coach, without his GM, and he came away convinced, I need to draft Bryce Young. That, we saw what happened later. I believe they started off 0-9, and Frank Reich got the boot. The GM got the boot. Dave Canales obviously came in. That's ignorance. That's owner ignorance. We, us being Chicago fans, we know all about that. Bryce Young is just a casualty right now, but I think this is the best thing for Bryce Young because he needs to sit. He's seeing ghosts out there. He's taking a beating. There was one sack yesterday where it looked like he didn't even know how to play football or what he was doing. He was running for his life, and he got fucking killed. At the end of the day,
I got a question to say what you're talking about. You said you feel like it's best for his development. So my question for you is this. When do you bring him back then? Like if Andy Dalton plays well, Like, do you just keep him on the bench until he starts sucking again?
I mean, you can.
Pause.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Right. That was crazy.
That was wild. That's my fault.
That was crazy.
That was wild.
No, that you know what was even crazy? The whole Andy
it.
Dalton playing well. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is Andy Dalton. Like, what are we talking about?
I'm
like,
with you.
This
I'm
is
with you.
dog shit.
I'm
At
presenting
this point, trade
option.
the man, bro. Like, just trade him because you fucked this up, and then now you bench him. Like, no, like. He needs, like, if I'm Miami, I'm on the phone now because Tepper's an idiot. So I would say, hey, bro, what you need? I'll give you a second round pick, and he'll fuck around and do it. But at this point, they have really ruined this. Like, first of all, you traded for the number 1 pick knowing you were going to draft a quarterback, and you traded the wide receiver. They pretty much haven't drafted an offensive player until this fucking season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the entire situation is a joke. And so, like, I actually feel bad for Bryce Young because I understand the whole undersized thing, but let's not act like Bryce Young wasn't a fucking dog at Alabama. Like, he didn't just suddenly
that man's not a Heisman Trophy
yeah.
winner.
He didn't just suddenly forget how to play quarterback. Like, he's in a shit situation, and this is what we always do, where it's like, well, we're gonna just blame the quarterback. So no, if I'm Miami, I'm on the phone right now. Like, hey, what do y'all need? Like, let's make this happen. Because you dropping hype videos for Andy Dalton in 2024, bro. What are you expecting from Andy fucking Dalton? Like, it's a terrible situation, and it's all on the owner.
Mikey, I agree with everything that you said. For me, obviously, it really starts at the top. And how can we say that? Listen, obviously, CJ Stroud has been incredible, but who's to say that he wouldn't also be struggling right now if he ended up going to Carolina? You know, like that can do a lot to affect a player's mental when you don't have a proper team around you. Right, that can really wear on you, no matter how skilled and talented you are, just like Bryce Young is. So yeah, for me, there's a lot of teams that are out there that need a quarterback. So I mean, if I'm Bryce and I don't get back in a game this season, I'm ready to cut my losses with Carolina and move on.
I mean, I saw somebody said in the chat, Baku, he said only QB. Andy Dalton's had spectacular games every team's been on. Riddle me this, Batman. What spectacular game did Andy Dalton have with the Chicago Bears? Please show me that footage. He had a decent career with the Bengals. I'm not going to start on that, but show me what that nigga did in Chicago.
I mean, but he only played like 2 games and then got hurt against the Bengals, was it? I don't think he had like a long leash. But either way, I mean, the numbers are the numbers. You know, we can't sit here and tie numbers to certain quarterbacks and then make excuses for the other ones. I mean, Bryce Young last year threw 11 touchdowns with 10 interceptions as a rookie, only averaging 5.5 yards per attempt. He was sacked 62 times. He had a QB rating of 73.7, including starters and backups. That put him at the number 46 ranked quarterback. This year, there's only 33 quarterbacks have started. He's dead last in efficiency, 33rd, even behind, Bo Nix. His yards per attempt and what's supposed to be a passing offense with Dave Canales has gone down. His rating has dropped down to a 44.4. I think he's just a little bit beat up and has some PTSD, and this can legitimately help him. Similar to what I said on the last segment about sitting Drake May, I don't think Bryce Young's time in this league is finished. Similar to, kind of what Baker Mayfield said. I just think it will do him some good to sit back, to not get fucking crushed every week, 5-6 times, get put on the ground, to watch a veteran quarterback operate the offense. He's not Patrick Mahomes. I understand that. Andy Dalton is not that. But you'll see a veteran be able to do some things that maybe Bryce isn't seeing. Let him get his confidence back up. And, Andy's old. Chances are, knock on wood, chances are he'll probably come up lame on something, have an injury, and they'll have to throw Bryce back in there. You just hope as a head coach and, a former offensive coordinator in Dave Canales that Bryce learned something and grew just a smidge better than what he was, before you benched him.
Bang, go ahead, man. What you think about this benching?
I think multiple things could be right at the same time. I think that the Panthers did my man a disservice in the first place by getting him but trading his best weapon as he was coming into the organization. Also, I don't know if it was for injury or what. Somebody have to clue me in, but he barely played the preseason.
No, that was because they said he didn't need it.
Right, so
which is hilarious.
so if he barely played the preseason, as I said a couple of times on this show, offenses is probably going to take 3 to 4 weeks before you start getting acclimated to what's going on. With all of that, that's why you're benching him because of poor play, and he hasn't had any reps. It seems to me that David Tepper, not the head coach, not Dan Morgan, the GM, it seems like their owner is making another bad decision. And here's the problem even with that. I'm sorry. I'm not the biggest fan of this quarterback class that's coming in this coming all season. I think they're good, but they're not quarterbacks that's going to take you that's going to get you over the hump. They're not quarterbacks that's going to change. There's not a generational quarterback in this upcoming draft. So you're going to damage the quarterback that you do have that some people still think has enough talent to be good in front of a good offensive line, a veteran wide receiver in Thielen, a young one in Leggett, a defense that's actually could be decent. They're just learning to gel because they barely played with each other. So I think everybody's writing this, how everybody is looking at this team and seeing that the owner is making terrible decisions to the point where I fully understand that every head coach or every coach in the league wants to get a job, but you should think long and hard if you take the Carolina Panthers job, because this dude, I can't pronounce his last name, but a former OC of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think had a sweet job at Tampa Bay. But when it's time to be a head coach, you kind of try to take the opportunities you get. He might should have been more like Ben Johnson and less like somebody that was thirsty to get a job. And that's why Ben Johnson has stayed in Detroit.
Well, he was most responsible. Dave Canales was the QB coach for Seattle. Right. Yeah, he was the QB coach for Seattle when Geno took off. So he parlayed that into the Bucs job, and then parlayed that into where he's at now.
Canales didn't make this call, by the way. Like Tepper 1,000% made this call.
Yeah,
like 1,000%, because it makes no sense. Like it's dumb as fuck. So it's like Tepper made this call. So,
damn, Dante, say it again. Say that again. You said that.
It was dumb as fuck. Like it was just stupid.
This nigga hates David Tepper, bro.
He's an idiot, bro. Like it's my thing. Like it's one of those American things where, like, when you're rich enough to where you can just be a fucking moron, but you're rich, so it doesn't matter. Like that's frustrating for me. I'm sorry. Like it really is.
I echo those sentiments, Dante, because people assume that because you've acquired a mass amount of wealth, you obviously have some kind of smarts, right? And that smarts automatically translate into all aspects. So, like, yeah, you're a great real estate guy or a businessman, but like that doesn't mean that you're good at owning and managing a football team. Because listen, even some of the worst football teams that we've seen can still manage to get like a good crowd to go to the games. I know someone jokingly said that they got to start giving away Carolina Panthers tickets in Bojangles combos, but like you need to earn back some of the faith from your fans, because right now, like, Carolina Panthers games attendance, I'm pretty sure is the worst in the league, which I understand. Why would you pay all that money to go to see a bad product? But like, he really needs to work on the pricing models or something to get fans to buy back in.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And also, it's Carolina. Like, if there's not a lot of stuff doing Carolina, period. If niggas don't want to go to a football game, that tells you how bad them niggas are.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah, we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not